is called the Pythagorean Theorem. Okay? And this is, this is a pretty quick lesson. It's not going to take all that long. So hang with me for a couple minutes, and then we'll go over some questions for the quiz, and then we'll keep moving. So the Pythagorean Theorem allows us to find all the sides of a right triangle. Okay, so like you see in the picture up in the top left, up here, we have a right triangle, and how do we know that it's a right triangle? How do we know that for sure?
Right, is it a 90-degree?
Yeah, it's got the 90-degree angle. It's got the little mark in the left corner. Now, when we were, the little half box. If we were to, or when we talk about a right triangle, we have two terms that we need to know. The first one are the legs, and those are in blue. The legs, like it says, are the two sides that form the right angle. So when we talk about the legs, then that's what we're talking about. There's two of them. The legs sometimes will be congruent. They'll be the same, but they don't have to be. Most of the time, they won't be the same. So in my picture, it looks like that side A and side B are about the same length, but that was not intentional. A lot of times, you'll have triangles that look like this, the right angle here, or different types of triangles with legs that are different lengths. The side that is across from the right angle is the hypotenuse. Like it says, that is always opposite of the right angle. So even if our triangle looks like this, our right angle is here, then the side opposite of our right angle is the hypotenuse. Something about the hypotenuse that we need to keep in mind is that it is always the longest side of our triangle. So the hypotenuse will always be longer than the legs. Are these terms and things that you guys have seen before? Did you talk about any of this in a middle school class? You did? Okay, so this is a review. Okay, perfect. Have you talked about Pythagorean Theorem? Does that sound familiar? Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. I thought this would be your first time hearing it. Pythagorean Theorem lets us find, just as a review, lets us find any side of the triangle that we want to. So A and B are always the legs. Now we could say that this is B and this is A. It really doesn't make a difference. But A and B are always the legs, and C is always the hypotenuse. And we use the formula A squared plus B squared equals C squared to find one of the missing legs. So if we keep in mind our formula is A squared plus B squared equals C squared, hopefully you see where we're going with this. We've been talking about how to solve with square roots and with squares, right? So hopefully you see how this, well, you will see for sure how this fits into what we've been talking about. If they say find angle C, it doesn't matter again. We can call this side A and this side B, or this B and this A, as long as our legs are A and B, it doesn't make a difference. But we would have 8 squared plus 15 squared equals C squared. 8 squared is 64 plus, does someone have a calculator? Definitely I need someone with a calculator. 15 squared.
225.
And what do we get when we add those together? 64 and 225. 289. Now, what would be our last step to solve for C? Yeah, we just square root both sides, just like what we've been doing the last, not as much of this chapter, but the last couple chapters. So C equals 17. Now, we can kind of see if our answer makes sense. Like we said, this hypotenuse is supposed to be the longest side. So if we got something like 12, we got C equals 12, that wouldn't make sense for the hypotenuse because it'd be shorter than this leg. So we can always look at our answer and see does it make sense with what our leg lengths are and all that good stuff. Is this like big time review, super easy stuff that you've seen?
Yeah.
Or okay. Then why don't you guys do this problem on your own? Take about a minute. Let's do this problem on your own. That's the only stuff we're learning today. So we have this problem to do on your own. I have one more example. You'll do one more problem on your own, and then that's it. Has anyone looked at, kind of on a side note, has anyone looked at Power School lately? Is Power School updated? Because my geometry class is telling me that Power School didn't have any grades in it since April 7th, which there's been lots of grades since then, so I don't know why that wasn't working. But I just want to make sure your guys' Power School is. The last grade that you guys have in would be your tests.
Oh, this is March 25th.
It says March 25th.
Yeah, 9.1 and 9.1 and 9.3 is that's March.
That's the last grade in Power School.
Yep.
Okay. I will have to look at that. I'll look at that one. This is our go-to formula, Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Again, this can be b, this can be a, b, doesn't matter. These are both the legs that form our 90-degree angle. 7 squared plus 10 squared equals c squared. So this would be 49 plus 100. And when you square root both sides, what did you get? You get an answer? Square root of 149. Is it clean? No, it's not. No, we just round to the first decimal place. We get 1.2. If we look at our side lengths with 10 and 7, 1.2 would be about right. That makes sense. Questions on either of those? Joe, you good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Except that putting in the fraction tables, so I'm going to do
Oh, good. All right, here's another example. Remember, this is our Pythagorean theorem. So far, they've given us A and B, and we've just solved to find C. Now, this is where kind of our square root stuff and everything comes into play a little bit more in our solving skills. Here you can see that they do not give us one of the legs. So we're going to need to solve for one of the legs. So they give us 3.5, which in this case, I mean, they call this variable b. So we can just put that in for A. And then they give us the hypotenuse. So someone tell me, what is 3.5 squared? 1225. Correct? And then someone gets 6.5 squared. 4225. Now, to solve for b, we need to subtract 1225 from both sides to get b by itself. And you would get, after we square root, square root both sides, 5.5. Now, you guys tell me, when we square rooted stuff last chapter, what do we put in front of the square root every time? Yeah, we put plus or minus. Why do we not need to put plus or minus here? Right, yeah, if we said b could equal positive 5.5 or negative 5.5, that wouldn't make sense, right? Yeah. If this length, we can't have a length of negative 5.5. So we don't worry about messing with the plus or minus or anything like that. So that's why it's not right. I know you all were wondering, where the heck is our plus or minus? That's all right. Ambrose. Last one. Try it on your own. Joe, you want to do this one on the iPad? Come on. I'll look at your work first. What do you got? Yeah, looks great. I trust you.
We have this, 100, we don't know what B is, so we're solving for it. 16 squared is 256 right here, right? We're solving for B, so we can put 256 in like that.
100 plus b squared equals 256.
Right? No, how do we get B by itself?
Here, let me write down what we have so far. That's all good, right? Right here, set up. Here, and then here, here. What if there are only 5 of us in the class all year? That would be insane. What? Best class ever? We get a lot of stuff done.
Did Lily get exposed
Did who?
to?
Oh, Lily?
Yeah.
I am not allowed to say why.
Exposed?
I mean, you guys can talk about it, and if you guys know what's going on with any of them, but I technically am not allowed to say why anyone is absent. Whether it's a COVID thing or not, I can't say why. But if you guys know, then, I mean, then you can talk about it. Like, that's not, but legally, I can't. Yes. Yep. Skylar is exposed. No, you're not. You knew that. She's been gone for a while. She's been gone. Abby sits right up here, but she has not been here for a while. We like the setup, right? We all agree? I like the setup. Again, 16 is across from a right angle, so we know it's the hypotenuse, we know that's our C value. Plug everything in, we get down to b squared equals 156. Square root both sides. What does that give us? Who have not heard? Amber, what does that give us? Who heard? Yeah? Someone else? Chime in? Yeah, okay, perfect. Which again, makes sense. 12.5. If we had like 18 for this value, we would know that that was not correct because we can't be larger than the hypotenuse. Right? That's got to be our largest side. But 12.5 sounds good. You guys have any questions, or is this like super easy? You're happy this is what we're talking about because you already know it. If it's not, that's okay. But I'm kind of getting the vibe that I've been here, done that. Joe, you good? Nice job on that last problem. Okay, sweet.